You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock.
The Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock and it's the Beer O'Clock Show, rattling along at the end of what has been an epic season. My name is Mark, and joining me, as always, is my Belgian-y yeasty beer buddy, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I'm alright, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Very good. Also joining us is the Half Pint Gent himself, Matt Chinnery. Hello, Matt.
Hello, you alright, guys?
Welcome to the show.
Cheers for having me on.
This is the last episode of season 9, one that's been filled with 19 beers, 8 guests, and far too many hoppy belches. So, Steve.
Yes, mate.
What have you been drinking in the last week, mate? Before we get going.
Just for a change, it's been a fairly big week. So I'm going to try and nail it down to maybe one or two. One absolute standout for me this week was once again from Buxton Brewery, their Guatemalan coffee extra porter, which was simply stunning. It was like coffee in a glass. It was just amazing. Had the same mouthfeel and everything. So that was a real highlight for me. Managed to track down some of the Vocation beers in Tesco's, and it was all I could do to stop myself from clearing the shelves of those. So enjoyed a couple of those. My timeline is just full of Cannonball and dippers and all sorts. It just seems to be been a week of big beers, which I'm sure nobody really wants to hear about. So just for me, just that one real standout was the coffee extra porter.
Okay, how about you, Matt?
So in this week where there's been all these massive beers, I'm going to flip it on its head. I had a 2.9% Love Walk small beer at the Canopy Beer Co on Friday. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought 2.9%, loads of flavour, really sessionable. And yeah, it's really exciting. So when you have a beer that's a low percentage, it's so easy to brew like a big 8 or 9% beer. But when something that comes out that low, yeah, I think that's really good. Also, we had a Brew Buddies PA03 Cascade. So that's a brewery down in Kent. We had that on Orient, and that was possibly one of the best beers we've had all season. It was brilliant. Everyone loved it. The traditional guys and new guys, it was a winner all round. So yeah, they were two big beers that I had this week, I think.
Cool. Well, we had a big old week just recording this week, Steve.
Yeah, it has been a. What's this? As we record this, this is our 5th show in 10 days.
Yeah,
that's something like that. Yeah.
But I had a couple of nice ones today. So I had one that I picked up from Hop Bones and Black when we did a live show, which is Sofa King Pale from Toul, or Toul, however you want to pronounce it, Toul, which was really nice. And I've been hunting down Brew by Numbers, their 1702 Grisette for a couple of weeks since I saw it on their website. And I finally managed to nab it from a local beer shop that I've never been into before, and that was gorgeous. It's the lemongrass one, so it's all light, all the kind of flavours that you'd love, Steve.
Sounds like it.
Saison
Sounds perfect, yeah.
Yeasty, Belgian-y, lemony flavours. It was just gorgeous. So that's my highlight for the week, apart from obviously the ones that are coming out on shows soon.
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
So this week we are. Talking of Saisons, we're going into the final Belgian-y beer of the season. It is Saison Dupont, which is a classic beer, and I'm sure we're all going to have lovely fun dipping into this. But before we quite start, Steve, do we have any news, mate?
Yes, mate. Just a few snippets this week. So the Norwich City of Ale 2016 ran a competition to name a beer that will be brewed for charity. As part of the week that's up there. So the beer's brewed by Woodfords, and 20p from every pint that's sold will go to East Anglia's Children's Hospices. Well, so it was a competition, and somebody named it Each Golden Moment. Unsurprisingly, it's a 4.1% golden IPA. So if you are heading to the Norwich City of Ale, make sure you grab a pint of that. and do your little bit for charity. Now, this next one, a little bit contentious. In the last week, we've heard that the University of Sheffield has commissioned a report into the beer industry in the city and the impact that it's had. And as a result, the report that's been written has given Sheffield the title of the real ale capital of the world. The city produces over 1,000 different beers each year and has 4.7 more brewers per person than Greater London. Now, a few other little stats in here. So one of them, and this is the one that made me chuckle, after I've stopped laughing about Sheffield being the real ale capital of the world. The next one was that Sheffield City can also claim the title of the birthplace of the UK craft beer revolution.
Isn't it?
Well, I'm not so sure. I kind of thought that was London. What about you guys? I know this is news, but really?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. It's probably London.
Was there evidence behind that?
I've no idea. I'm a little bit suspect by the fact that this report was commissioned by the University of Sheffield, and then lo and behold, it names Sheffield as the real ale capital of the world. So you know what? I'm not reading any more about that. That's some bullshit news on this week's show. Just alienated all of our Sheffield listeners there. And then finally, just to say some news from Camden Town, who have announced that they've finally found somewhere to start their second home. So this is their bigger brewery. They'll be moving to Enfield alongside the River Lee from spring of 2017. There'll be a tap room up there as well, and it would just allow them to expand and get more of their beer to people. And that's it, mate. There wasn't really much else going on this week.
Oh, very good. Right, let's get into this beer then. Saison Dupont from Brasserie Dupont in Torpez, Belgique. I assume that's where the actual town is, Torpez.
Yeah.
Torpey. Torps.
Torps. And again, one for the pronunciation fans that have been with us all throughout season 9.
Yeah, apologies now.
Well, this is lovely and active coming out of the bottle.
It's lively, isn't it?
Massively lively.
It's
a bit cloudy in the bottom, so I'm not going to pour the whole thing out.
Yeah, I think I've managed to get a glass full without any of the yeast and the sediment in it. So
nice, one finger head, nice and fluffy, lovely and clear.
Huge head on my one. Really carbonated.
Nice, clear, fresh nose on it.
Yep.
I always find, actually, with this beer, aroma-wise, it can be quite weak compared to the flavour.
Yeah, I'm not getting huge amounts of aromas coming off it. Just what I am getting is quite clean.
I'm getting a little bit of tiny little bit of floral hints on the nose, with an underlying current of Belgian-y. I think. Come on, I'd be doing everybody a disservice if we didn't use that word a lot in tonight's show, wouldn't I?
Indeed. So let's get into it, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
The season. Cheers.
This is one of my favourite Belgian beers, actually, to be honest. Really, really enjoy this beer.
See, now this is where I've got an issue, because I quite like that. I quite like that initial feel and taste that I'm getting from that. And I think in a blind tasting, I would struggle to call that out as a Saison. Now, this is obviously more the classic style Saison as opposed to the craft style Saison that I think I've taken particular umbrages with. But that's really crisp and fresh. It's incredibly refreshing. Lots of citrus going on in the flavour there for me. Little bit of Belgian-y in there, but a really, really clean finish.
I think it's for me, it's the benchmark for a Belgian Saison, really, because like you said, I think a lot of the craft stuff is slightly different to the original traditional Belgian style. And for me, this is the one. This is the best one out there in Belgium, I think.
Yeah, I think with the crafty saisons, they kind of really push the vinous aspect of it, and the slight sourness as well.
It's the funk that I hate. I hate the funk that comes with them.
Well, crafties love the funky stuff, though.
Yeah, I don't.
I think there's a little bit of that Belgian funk at the end, but not like you said. It's not too much of it. I think it's like a nice balance.
It's incredibly balanced. That's the thing for me.
So, I like how there's a little bit more malt body than you would get in like a crafty saison brewed in the UK, and that really balances off with like the sweet hoppy notes and the sweet yeast flavors coming through, while keeping it refreshing. So I mean, it's 6.5%, so you would hope to have a little bit of body to it.
Well, it's like a shandy to Belgians, I guess, 6.5%. But that's why I like this beer. It's like it's a bit of history, really, because this is the beers that they were brewing on the farms for the farmers, back in the day that couldn't drink the water, and they'd given this to refresh them on a hot summer's day while they're doing all the farming. And that's what I just like that. I like that side of it. Hopefully, this is what they were drinking back then. There's a bit of Belgian history in a glass.
Well, this has been around since 1844, so it has been around for a few years. And as you say, it was brewed for the farm hands, brewed during the winter and then served to them in the summer. And as you say, very much considered as the classic of the style, and very much the benchmark of the style in Belgium as well.
Yeah, definitely. I say this Saison translates the season, so it's like a seasonal beer for the summer, and I love drinking this in the summer, especially a nice cold one. All year round, to be honest. I love it so
much. Steve, shall we start running down what season 9 has brought to us?
Let's.
How long has it been? 2.5 months?
It has been a long one, and we should probably just explain to our listeners as well why we're doing this on this week's show as well, because the season doesn't actually end until next week. But that's the live.
Me saying this is the last episode. It's not.
Yeah, that's the live special that we recorded a few weeks back at Hot Burns and Black, and we just thought that would be a little bit weird in front of a live audience to do a retrospective of the season. So we're kind of doing that on tonight's show. We're going to have a little bit of a look back at what the season's brought to us.
Indeed. So the entire season's been very helpfully brought together by Renee at Beautiful Beers, who walked me around the shop and told me what beers to pick out for our Belgian selections this year. So the focus has been on Belgium, while also interspersing it with other beers. So, shall I just run down what beers we've had this season, Steve?
You go ahead, mate.
Alrighty, because everyone will love my pronunciations on this.
Yeah, we've got to give everyone one final nugget to go away on, haven't we?
So these are the beers we had in order. So we had the Brouwery van Viven with the Imperial IPA. We had Island Record Session IPA, Gaulois and Brie, Northern Monks, Northern Star Mocha Porter, with Brouwery de Saint Benedictus de Accaus, Trappers Accaus 8 Bruin. We had Cloudwater's Custard Porter, Hacht Brewery's Tongalo Blonde. We had our lovely homebrew special, of course, with Dracuba, Will Millard and Serafini. We had Twisted Barrel's Wake Up Juice, JW Lee's Manchester Beer Week special featuring Manchester Pale Ale and Manchester Star with Conor Murphy along for the ride, Troubadour Obscura, our Sussex County Showcase last week, which was massive, with Scaramanga from Gun, Hastings 4C, Dark Stars Espresso, and Tomfoolery from the Naked Beer Co. And ending it all, apart from the live show that's coming out next week, which you can hear all about, a little bit later, we've got tonight's Saison Dupont. So, whew.
It's been quite a season, mate, in terms of the amount of beers that we've managed to pack into it.
Indeed, I mean, including the Hot Bones and Black show, we've 22 beers.
Over how many weeks?
I don't know.
That's probably an average of 2 a show then, isn't it? This time round.
It's your average Friday night out, isn't it, Steve?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, so that's that. Well, that's getting started on a Friday.
Yeah, all my beers.
So, Steve, any highlights from this season apart from? I'm going to pull out the homebrew special and keep that aside because I know that's always a highlight for you. So, what about the other beers?
Okay, it's a good shout actually because possibly in anticipation of you doing that, I didn't put that down as one of my highlights of the season because it has become a bit of a staple now for us. I had a look over that list just before we started recording, and there were 3 beers that jumped out at me as being beers from the season that I would happily revisit and drink more of. So the first of those was the very first one that we did, the Viven Imperial IPA. Just because I was surprised at how un-Belgian-y it tasted.
Right.
And how good it actually was. And I literally, the day after we recorded that show, went back onto the Beautiful Beers website and bought another load of them because it was so good. So that was a great start to the season. The next one, without a doubt, was that Manchester Star beer that we did. That was incredible. That was just absolutely so sippable, while at the same time just so much going on in it in terms of flavours and the feel and the balance. So that was the second one. And then the last beer that I just want to highlight was from last week's Sussex County Showcase, which was that Gun Scaramanga.
Oh man, yeah.
Which I at 3.9%, I could literally drink that all day long.
Right.
It was just a real standout for me. So they were the beers that really stood out for me. I've got some other highlights, but we can talk about those later because I'm interested in what your standouts were. If Matt's had any that as he's been listening to the season that he's got involved with. Just share your views on this one, guys.
Okay, well, that Viven Imperial IPA, like you say, was just lip-smacking gorgeous. Great beer. Another one of my highlights was the Tongolo Blonde from Huck. And I think I'll have to go with the Manchester Star that you mentioned as well. That was just a beautiful beer. You know, as we said on the show, was just, I think we were a bit bowled over by that beer on the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also, I mentioned for the Gun Brewery Scaramanga, which, like I said, I think I said on the show that is right up my street. It's like the perfect beer for me, 3.9%, but with all those flavours coming in, it's just gorgeous.
Beer wise for me, sorry guys, beer guys for me, it's definitely that Manchester Star. I remember when I first had that, it completely took me by surprise. I think it was £2 in Sainsbury's or something like that, or £1.50. It was real cheap, and I picked it up just because of the price, and I tried it. I thought, wow, that really, really took me by surprise, like you guys did on the show.
So, out of the Belgian beers we've had this season, Matt, have you had any of those before?
I've had the Viven. I had that at the Bruges Beer Festival last year, and there was a few other beers of theirs actually. It was a similar sort of style that was leaning away from like the Belgian beers, but more like UK American craft beers. The ones that I can never pronounce. I think, to be honest, I've had most of them actually, but the Viven one is definitely one that sticks in my mind for sure.
Okay, Steve, any other highlights you want to?
There are two for me. There's the as yet unreleased, but always one to get a plug in, live show that's coming next week that we did at Hot Burns and Black, where we did a complete focus on Bristol, and some of the beers that are available from there. It's always nice to do this in front of a live audience, although sometimes a little bit uncomfortable, but I think we're getting used to it. But it was also great to. I'm not going to give anything else away about that actually, but there's some little surprises in that show, so make sure you listen out for that next week. And then normally I don't normally comment on kind of the other content that we do, but the one thing that was a real highlight, and it was a personal highlight for me this season, was finally getting round to having Matt on from Beerbods on the interview that we did with them, and it was the first time we've done an interview where we essentially crowdsourced the questions. So all of the questions for Matt were from our listeners and people on Twitter that wanted to ask him things. So rather than it being the standard origin story of Beerbods, it was something a little bit different and something a little bit special. And I really enjoyed doing that interview, and I really enjoyed that show as well. So yeah, it's been, you know what, mate, I've just really enjoyed this season. There's just been so much variety in terms of our beers that we've been drinking, and we've just had some great guests on as well.
Indeed, if people want to listen to that interview with Matt from Beerbods, check out episode 139, which is our custard porter episode. And it's tacked on the end after the tinkly music. And also, just to be completely navel-gazy, this season we also started our Flavour of the Month series, which we've been doing with Little Leads. And there's one yet to come out, and it features my current beer of the year. So,
mate, it'll be out by the time this is released.
Oh, will it?
Yeah.
Okay. Go back a couple of days, guys, and listen to that, because that was fucking amazing. Listen to me get all sweary about a beer.
I think we both got very excited about that, mate.
So, Steve, do you want to go into the hop topic now? Do you want to wait for a little bit? Since we're being all navel-gazy.
Yeah, let's get it done. It's not going to take long this week. But basically, at the end of each series, I always like to do a hot topic which actually ask people what their highlights of the season have been. So we gave people 4 options. We asked them if it was the Belgian beers, the homebrew special, the county showcase, or hot topic itself. Unanimous winner with 42% of the votes was hot topic. People are absolutely loving engaging with us outside of the show, and then us bringing that into the show. So just a few comments on that. So Luke McGlynn said he really enjoyed the poll, but there's been plenty of highlights, including all the hot topics. Janice Dunn, hot topic for her. She loves the discussions that would be created, and it was fun and engaging. Gregor J, the homebrew episode. Clay Chisholm, torn between homebrew and hot topic, although listening to you taste all the Belgian beers was great too. Just a great season. Thanks for that, Clay. I appreciate that. Michael Lally really enjoyed the hot topic and the show with Pete McCary on it, about how to call out a bad beer without looking like a fanny. And then just to finish from our current number 1 fan, 3 tweets because he's allowed that as the number 1 fan. Love how much Hop Topic has been embraced by folk. Another cracking season, lads. Love the Twisted Barrel episode, and the Beerbods interview was a cracker. And yet another brilliant county showcase. It's yet again showing the quality and variety of beer cropping up these days. So that's what people were saying on Twitter about this week's hot topic. I don't suppose there's any point in asking you guys for your opinions, because we've just had that discussion in terms of the highlights of the season. But we're going to be taking a bit of a break now until June, so I might keep the hot topics going, just to give me something to do while we're not recording.
While I'm gallivanting around Australia.
Yeah, basically, I was going to say that. Yeah, I was actually going to say, well, you fucked off to Australia for a month. But yeah, so if we carry on, it'll just be a bit of fun. But I'd just like to say at this point, thanks to everybody that's engaged in one of the hot topics this season. It's great to get people engaging with us on Twitter and sharing their views. And just keep your ears out for a very special hot topic on next week's show.
So while we finish off this beer, I'm sure you guys are getting towards the end of yours.
Absolutely.
Matt, now, I'm a bit of an ignorant prick, so I haven't checked out your blog. But tell us a bit about your blogging.
So basically, I started blogging 3 years ago because I ran out of friends to nag to drink good beer, and I think I just needed to try and spread the good word to other people because all my friends were sick of hearing me go on and on. Around the same sort of time, I got a job in travel. I was doing a little bit of travelling after a lifetime of never going away anywhere. And on the first trip to Belgium, I decided that, when you go to a place where you haven't read about it online, I think, well, it'd be great to write about this place and for other people to then share the same experiences. And that was basically where I started. It started off a bit of a beer travel blog, and then sort of moved on from there, really. Also, the stuff that I do with like Leyton Orient Supporters Club, that sort of all come into it as well, and I started doing blogs for them. And at the same time, obviously, the beer scene in London was blowing up, and I was just sort of blowing up around me. And just started to write about it, really. And then the stuff with Leyton Orient as well that's got involved with it, with the committee there at the supporters club. We've got like a bar at the football ground, which is quite rare for a lot of football clubs, really, to be honest, especially to be serving real ale the way that we do. So we've got like 8 pumps of real ale on, and a couple of bottles, cans. I've got the cans in this season. We've had some Magic Rock in and Signature down. So we've done a lot of stuff with Signature Brew. They've been great since they've moved into their brewery. Really, it was just a case of writing about the stuff I was doing at Orient, writing about the stuff in London and travelling. And if I was going away with work, I'd basically look to see where I could dart off to a couple of places and enjoy a beer while I was on a break, so to speak. And write about it so other people can find that online and then go and experience these same places, really.
Cool. Steve, do you have any questions?
I'm just I'm intrigued in terms of the stuff that you're doing at Leyton Orient, mate. How did that come about? Because that's not your average supporters club, is it? That's got cans of Magic Rock behind the bar.
No. So basically, it's a separate entity to the actual football club. It's a supporters club run by a volunteer committee, so none of us get paid for all the stuff that we do at the club. It's just really for the love of the club, really. It was established in 1975. Originally, it used to be in a cage where they used to put on the naughty football hooligans, and they used to use that cage after the games to serve up beer and basically have the good fans to come in and enjoy the game after the game. But now, where it is at the moment, it's been there since 2005, and basically all the profit that we get every season gets donated back to the club, and it won't go to players and that, because that would just be stupid for us to take up a load of money and then give it to players. But we do good stuff for the club, like the community side of it, or the youngsters, or doing actually up the stadium, things like that supporters can see and see that their money's going to something good. Basically I just got involved. Me and my friend Paul, we were doing a couple of charity quizzes there for my mate Paul was doing the marathon, and really from there we was invited to join the committee. We wasn't too sure at first because we thought we might change the match day, and the idea of pouring all these pints to everyone, I was thinking, I don't know if it'll, I don't know how that will change match day. But first time I did it, loved it, and it's gone from there, really. This season I took over from doing a lot of the online beer ordering, so a lot of the newer beers we've got on, I've usually come through me somehow, from either talking to the brewers or distributors and that. Really, it's manic. The match days are so busy. And it's just good to get a football club that enjoys real ale the way that we do.
Excellent. And you do a few. You've done a few sort of tap takeovers as well, haven't you, with some breweries?
Yeah, we do those maybe once every 2 months. We've had Signature Brew again from down the road, Marble in the past, Dark Star we've done quite often throughout the years. We've had Essex versus Kent night, that was really popular. Put up 8 beers from Essex versus 8 beers from Kent. Had a little bit of a showdown. Essex just come out on top. We've got probably one in the summer with Pig and Porter as well. And we have a Wales versus England beer festival for the Wales versus England game, which is going to be an all-day festival while the actual game is on for the Euros as well.
Cool. Sounds like a place to search out then over the next couple of months.
Yeah, so always welcome to come down on a match day. It's like a members club, but on a match day everyone's always welcome. Camera members are welcome in as well, and then after the game as well, everyone's welcome. There's a good fact that a guy called Tony Room on the committee put together 2 seasons ago, and I think the fact that they're probably around the same this season. So for 2 seasons ago, we had 264 different beers on over the season. 154 different breweries, which is roughly about 22,000 pints of real ale, plus the 13,500 pints of lager, worked out that we was pouring 270 pints per hour. So you can imagine how busy it gets behind the bar.
Well, I'd say that Leytonstone is therefore the real ale capital of the world, not Sheffield, based on those stats alone, I think.
Yeah. We probably do. We're open from like midday to about 2:30. Then we all go to the game, and back after from about 5 to 8. We usually get through about 16 or 17 casks of real ale. So we've got a lot. Yeah, we've got a lot of real ale drinkers in
thirsty
Leyton.
supporters. Yeah,
Orient fans like their beer, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's just because the football's so bad. We've got to drink get through the beers to get through the game. I think so.
Do we have any final comments on the Saison Dupont?
It's gone.
Yeah,
It's gone too.
mine's. I'm literally about to take the last swig. It's just what I said at the start. For me, it's a mind changer in terms of what saisons should. I'm gonna maybe be a little bit controversial there. Should taste like, as opposed to the funk that we get on a far too regular basis. This is one that I would certainly search out and drink over and over again, and can see how it would be very quaffable in the summer.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you see this as an example of like the traditional Belgian saison, and then we are familiar with the craft approach to it. But then if you also take the view of your traditional IPA and the craft approach to that, they are, again, different beasts most of the time.
That is a very good point, sir.
And had to do one this season.
Yeah, and that's maybe a discussion that we should save for another hot topic.
Okay. Matt, do you have any final comments? I know this is a favourite beer of yours.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. In the summertime, I love this in the summertime. Really refreshing. Good example of the Belgian yeast as well. You can pick the Belgian yeast flavours out in it. And yeah, I like what you're saying. It's like an inspiration, I guess, for new craft brewers. Instead of maybe them brewing the same sort of saison as this, maybe this is what they enjoyed and then took it from there to produce something that they enjoy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I said before, it's a benchmark for this style of beer for me.
Yeah, it's just a great example of a saison. I love saisons. I love the crafty ones. I love the traditional ones. And this is just, I've had this before and it's just like top shelf for me. Just a great beer. So every week Steve tried to get rid of one of the empty boxes littering his home studio, and that's where the prizeless prize comes in. So Steve, do you have an Instagram of the week, mate?
Yeah, this is the last box to go out this season, mate. I'm gonna have to restock for next season. It's an extra big box, so I can put even more nothing in there. And again, one that's not going too far this time round, and it's been a while since this guy's won a picture, but it popped up on my feed today at the same time as I was drinking one, and I think that's what swung me. But congratulations to Justin Mason at 1970s Boy for his picture of High Wire from Magic Rock in a can. It just really summed up what that beer is all about for me. You can check that on our Instagram feed. It's linked through in the show notes as well. I'll make sure Justin gets his very own massive box of nothing delivered to him before the start of next season. But make sure that while we're off air, you still carry on putting your pictures up on Instagram and using the hashtag Cheers Guys. And then when we return, you may very well get yourself maybe a new and improved big box of nothing for season 10.
Indeed. Okay, Steve, what's coming up in season 10, buddy?
Okay, so season 10 is going to kind of be a celebration of all things Beer O'Clock Show, because it's a landmark season. 10 seasons, mate. We never thought we were going to get to 10 episodes, let alone 10 seasons. So what we've done is we've selected a group of listeners who are all going to recommend their favourite beer for us to drink on the show, and they've each been invited to come on the show as well and talk to us about why they chose that beer and talk to us about their journey into beer as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of, rather than it being so much about you and I, it's more about the listenership that we've built over the 10 seasons. So, and I think that's due to start first Friday in June.
Okay.
Friday the 10th of June, the first episode will be out of season 10.
And how many of these people threatened Green King IPA on you?
They were all told when they were contacted that they could not select Green King IPA.
Right, well, saying that, a big thanks to all of our listeners this season, and especially all the interactions that you've had with us over Hop Topic and coming out to see our live show at Hop Burns and Black as well. It's been fantastic. And obviously all the interactions on Twitter and Instagram. Do you have anything to add to that, Steve?
No, mate. I'm grateful that people are still into what we do. We appreciate people downloading the show, listening to the show, commenting on the show, giving us feedback. All of that means so much to us, and we've said this. We say this at the end of every season, but we keep doing this stuff because you want us to keep doing it. So it's great when people get involved in what we do.
Indeed, and if you're not on the social media on Instagram or Twitter, drop us an email at beeroclockshow@gmail.com if you have any comments about the show, if you just want to say hi. Especially if you're not someone who's interacted with us before. We'd love to hear from you. Matt, thanks very much for joining us this week, mate.
Thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure. And huge thanks at the end of Season 9 to Beautiful Beers and to Rene especially for putting together the Season 9 box, which you can still get on his website, by the way, guys. You can go there directly and click on the mixed cases. It's right there. All the beers from Season 9, and you get this 10% discount code on our website as well, on the Season 9 beer list, along with discount codes from Ales by Mail, Beer Merchants, and Ebria. They all have 10% discount codes for Beer O'Clock Show listeners on any beers from their site. So next week, as we mentioned a couple of times throughout this episode, we have our live season finale, which was recorded at Hop Burns and Black. Was it last week? It seems like so long ago, Steve.
Yeah, it was in the last 10 days of many recordings, mate.
That's a Bristol special, really, featuring Arbor, Moore, and Wiper and True beers. So be sure to stick around and listen to that next week. It'll be out Friday next week. It's a great little show. And we had, a lot of fun at Hop Burns and Black. We always do. But we've got Season 10 to look forward to now.
Well, we have, and in between that last show of Season 9, the Hop Burns and Black show, and the first show of Season 10, there may be a little return to Revisited popping up as well on your feed. So keep your eyes out for that one.
That was good fun to record as well.
It was indeed.
Right, Matt, thanks again.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Cheers, Matt.
Steve, thanks for the last however many episodes it's been in the 22 beers. It's been great fun.
Thank you, mate, for all the time that you put into pandering to my requests, and also the fantastic job you do with editing these shows, mate.
Yeah, and say again, guys, go back a couple of episodes and listen to that Flavour of the Month. Fucking awesome beer. That's all I can say. Until next time, buddy.
It's been the highlight of my season.
And mine. Bye-bye.